Hi everybody and welcome to Worldschooling. My name is Dr. Jessie Voigts and my co-presenter is a good friend of mine and a student in our Youth Travel Blogging Mentorship class and the editor for the Youth Travel Blogging Mentorship class, Hannah. And Hannah, can you speak or are we still working out technical difficulties?
I think it's working now.
Excellent. Good morning.
Good morning.
And so today we're going to talk about Worldschooling, and let's get started. We've started the recording. Thank you, Steve. And where in the world are you? Let me see if I can do this. Can you guys all put your map things on the board? Can you do that? Let's see if we know how. I am here in Michigan, and Hannah is in Australia. Oh my gosh, we have several in the United States. And I know Will's in Germany. I'll just put the big star in Germany for him. New York City, we know where Lainey is, down in Peru. We're so jealous. And Lainey had an amazing talk on travel as global education last night. So if you didn't make her conference talk last night, please find the recording. It's well worth listening to. Oh, in Egypt, that's wonderful. And let's get started. So today we would like to talk about Worldschooling. My website is wanderingeducators.com and Hannah's website is adventuregirl.com. And what is Worldschooling? Well, a friend of mine, Eli Gerzon, coined the phrase Worldschooling, and he says, when the whole world is your school instead of school being your whole world. And we have an interview there with him. But I think that this term really changed intercultural learning and international education by providing a term for what so many people had been doing, which is learning from the world and being in the world. And Worldschooling, Hannah, do you want to cover this?
Yeah, sure. It brings things to life. And by that we mean that you learn more about, say, Shakespeare by going and actually seeing where he lived and seeing a play at Stratford-upon-Avon or meeting the people in Mexico or in Egypt, for example. And it really brings things to life a lot more than reading out of a textbook would.
Indeed. And I think you can see more about the culture where you are and languages, and especially my favorite food. I'm always asking my students what they're eating and when. And our friend Lainey, who runs the website Raising Me Row, she just published an article this week about learning through travel and 16 reasons to combine unschooling with travel. And so we have the link there if you'd like to go find it. But I think that she really encapsulates what we're talking about when you world school, because you're in the world, you're learning everything about it. How do you world school? Well, it's easy. You just include the world in what you're doing. And if you're reading, you read about other cultures or you read books from other cultures. And when you cook, cook international meals and talk about that culture or current events in that culture when you're eating. We do that here every day. And if you can, travel as much as possible. Even if it's just the next town over, you're still expanding your worldview from what you see every day. But my main point, go ahead.
I was going to say that I love this slide because so many people think that worldschooling means you have to be on the road most of the time. And that's not true. And I think that's really important.
Well, don't you think, Hannah, it's just a matter of opening your eyes and being curious?
Yeah, it's definitely about that.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I mean, wherever you are is the world, right?
Exactly. Part of it, at least. And how about these ideas, Hannah? Would you like to cover some of them?
Yeah, sure. So exploring ethnic neighborhoods, grocery stores, and restaurants. That's really fun to do.
Yeah.
Personally, I like Italian and Mexican restaurants a lot, but that's just me. Cooking international foods, exploring photos and videos from around the world. There's tons of those out there, and it makes you feel almost like you're actually there to watch them or to look at them. learning new languages, hosting international students or visitors. We do that a lot. Reading books from other cultures, learning about and playing sports from other cultures, and exploring the things that you're interested in from all over the world. Then you can also listen to international TV shows and news, and just, do what you love and then expand it to include the whole world.
I think that's so true. One good example was in our teen travel vlogging class in the fall term, we had 2 students that were totally passionate about volunteering with animals at rescue shelters. And one lived in Germany, and one lived in Mexico, I think she was. And how amazing it was that they could explore their passions by being in a different place and seeing what it was like there.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yes. So we have a whole lot of Worldschooling resources, and we'll just mention them a little bit. I will get a video from this from Steve and post it up on our Wandering Educators YouTube channel, and we'll put that on our Wandering Educators website. But I'll also post this slideshow on SlideShare, so you can always go there and click through. So these are just some of our favorite Worldschooling resources. We have not listed them all, of course. One that I love is called Multicultural Kids, and they just do, every post is learning about a different culture in depth. I love that. We've written a book called Bringing the World Home, a resource guide to raising intercultural kids. And by the way, we have that free on Amazon today, tomorrow, and Monday if you'd like to download it. And I think, Hannah, aren't we going to work on a book on Worldschooling?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
hopefully.
So look for that in the next few months. My friend Ashley wrote a really interesting book called Family on the Loose, which is the name of her website, and it's the art of traveling with kids. And she also recommends going deep when you travel. And Maya Frost wrote a classic book by now called The New Global Student, and they left and lived, I think, in South America for a couple of years so that their kids could be world schooled. And a list of Worldschooling books, there's a link there. And Hannah's mom, Jen, has an amazing website called The Adventure Project. And she wrote for us called Teaching Geography Through Literature. And I love that article because I love books. I'm always reading books. But to think about learning geography through books is a concept maybe many people haven't thought of before. But it's fun and easy and doable. My last favorite one on this page is the International Children's Library, and they have all kinds of picture books online in different languages. And so you can read a book from Egypt, or read a book from Bolivia, or wherever you would like to find a book from, you can go read it. And that's just an amazing resource. And I love the internet. So much more is available now. You can learn about the world through podcasts, and our favorites are Radio Lab and Irish Fireside about Ireland. Amateur Traveler hosts travelers from all over the world, and they talk about their trips and what they saw. And Raising Me Row, Lainey, who is here, has a wonderful podcast. If you want to see something and hear about it, BBC's Human Planet is an incredible, incredible resource, and I highly recommend that. Videos, of course, Crash Course, TED Ed, Global Views, Snack Zones, and Academic Earth. Those are all very interesting and provide good resources for learning about the world. And just some more websites. Macaulay Library has sounds from all over the world of bird calls and insects and mammals, and you can hear what they are and then see on the map where they are. And one of my favorite birds is the great blue heron. And one huge one flies and lands on our raft on our lake every night. But I didn't really know what they sounded like because he's kind of quiet here. So I went to the Macaulay Library and I found what they sound like, and it sounds really crazy. It's kind of a squawk. Anyway, that's fascinating if your kids are into animals. Open Culture provides free online courses and language lessons and amazing things. Kid World Citizen, I highly recommend that one. Here's an interesting one from Oxfam, and you may have already seen it, but it's photos that reveal what families eat in 1 week. And so they show the families in front of their house and all the food that they would eat per week, and it's very enlightening. And, you know, some people world school through traveling or through hosting people, and you can host people through couch surfing or tripping and meet people from all over the world. I know that Lainey from Raising Me Row has done plenty of that, and talked about it in her presentation last night, how it's so amazing when you get to meet people. And apps, thousands of apps, including National Geographic and Explore the World. Yes, Skype can be great for that. Tiny countries, there's games, you can learn languages for free. So there's many, many resources available to learn about the world if you can't leave your home. And I write a column every week on educationaltravel.com, and each week we look at a place in the world and I find the coolest resources about that place. And my mom is currently swimming the Hellespont now in Istanbul, and last night she swam by the Temple of Poseidon in Greece, and just a few weeks ago I wrote about the Temple of Poseidon in Greece. And so I said, Mom, what did you think about that? So she sent me a picture of her swimming and then dining there and seeing the Temple of Poseidon. So learning about it and then seeing it is an incredible way to be in the world. And our travel blogging mentorship program, which Hannah is in, and Hannah is the editor for, is a good way to teach teens how to blog about their experiences in the world. So we have a whole lot of families. Hannah, do you want to talk about some of them?
Yeah, sure. Raising Miro, that's Lainey. She's actually on here. They live in Peru, and they've been kind of traveling and living their own sort of lives a different way than most people do for a very, very long time, and they're a very, very cool family. Yeah, and Adventure Project, well, that's us, actually. And we've been traveling for about 5 years full on, just kind of wandering around the world. It started out as just 1 year, but then there was the market crash, and Dad decided that he didn't really have a job to go back to, so why not just make his work something that he could do on the road? So we did that, and we haven't really stopped traveling since. I've got 3 brothers, Gabriel, Elisha, and Ezra, and then my 2 parents. And yeah, we just kind of wander around. Works out for us.
I love that.
Family on the loose.
Oh, go ahead, Hannah.
No, I don't actually know them. I was going to say, can you do that one?
Oh, sure. Family on the Loose, they wrote the book on the art of traveling with kids, and she does in-depth learning about places. And Family on Bikes rode their bike from the top of Alaska to the bottom of the world. That was amazing. And I think, didn't it take 3 years, Hannah?
Yeah, about that, yep.
Oh, my goodness. And Talon, who writes One Dad, One Kid, travels around with his son. And Theodora has a website called Escape Artiste, and she and her son Zach have been traveling nonstop for years, like Hannah and Lainey's family. World School Adventures, Stat Vic Family, Expat Mama, Traveling Mom, Travelers Point, Wander Mom, Soul Travelers 3. There are many, many families at World School and that are inspirational. It's wonderful. But today, because we have Hannah here and she is a World School teen, I'd like to focus our presentation on World School teens and why it's worth it. Off to you, Hannah.
Okay, well, as it says on the slide, traveling as a teenager really, it's good for you because your mind opens up a little bit and you see the world around you in a different way than most teenagers are exposed to it. And it makes it easier for you to understand how people of other religions work together in other cultures. And being in a classroom all the time doesn't really prepare you for adult life in the way that most people live adult life. Because, I mean, you guys have to interact with people from all cultures, all ages, all races, all religions. And when you're in a classroom, you really only interact with people that are around your age, and a lot of the time from the same country as you. So I don't see how that would prepare you for being an adult. And last of all, it makes you more creative because you're seeing and you're learning about the world from outside the walls of the typical classroom.
I love that. And I know that you're taking some online courses, right, Hannah?
Yep. Yep,
and
I'm doing...
oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. It's fine.
There's some courses on Coursera and edX, but I think, Hannah, you're doing a different route, right?
Yeah, I'm actually taking online distance courses with Oregon State University at the moment, which is working out really, really well for me. Because I can add up those credits and then use them to transfer into another college sometime in the future.
I love that. And I just want to read some comments because I'm not sure if they'll show up on the video. But Lainey notes that some of the other participants know most traveling families know each other, and there's a lovely community of world schoolers. And Velocia says, my uncle has traveled for over 30 years and finally settled down for a year in Hawaii. I always wanted to do something like that. Traveling, you can meet new and interesting people and have experiences most people would never have. And Lainey says, Miro agrees that travel makes you more creative. I agree. Now, we put together a short list of teen inspiration, and Hannah wrote just a couple this week. I think you posted this week. And
Yep.
Really inspirational articles this list is about letting teens, not letting, I don't know why I'm using that word, allowing teens to find themselves and explore the world and break out of our preconceived notions of what a teen should be and what a teen should do, but really get out there and explore. And so we will put the slideshow up on SlideShare. Empowering, yes, I think you're right about that. Empowering is a good word there. And I think the world is changing so much, and the traditional skills that used to be required are not necessary anymore, and there's so many more skills that are required. And teens are digital natives, and they know how to get around the internet world, but also knowing how to get around the real world is important to know. And so I think if you empower them to learn about the real world, you are doing them a great service to their future. So some of the teens in our class, I'm going to showcase Austin's work, and then Hannah, she can read hers, but some of the teens wrote really powerful articles for our class last term. So Austin was snorkeling in Iceland in extremely cold water, and here's what he wrote. It's cold, painfully cold, so cold I begin to question the logic behind my thrill-seeking madness. It's these sort of crazy people that end up on the news, right? The headline screaming, American found frozen between tectonic plates, Iceland. The water is only up to my ankles, and already a string of eclectic language has escaped my lips. It's now or never, though. The frozen body of a Hawaii teen was located in the chilly waters of Iceland. I double-check that my mask is on tight, dry suit valves are locked and closed. Oh God, I mumble as I plunge into the unknown. I love
He's awesome.
He's world-schooled. He's so awesome. He's world-schooled, and he took this chance to go scuba diving or snorkeling in incredibly cold water. And we have this article on our website, Wandering Educators, but you'll look at the pictures and you'll think, oh my gosh, that was brave, and that was an incredible experience in Iceland that most people won't get. I mean, most people have a layover and they go to the Blue Lagoon. But I think once you practice world schooling, you know that there's more to those tourist attractions, and maybe to step outside and see what else there is. Austin also gave us a suggested book list. I'm sure all of my teens in my class would have an amazing book list, and all of them would be different. I think it's important that we have books available, and it's easy online from Amazon and e-readers, books available from all other parts of the world, maybe in translation, or if you're lucky enough to speak other languages fluently, read them in that language. But I think books also give a glimpse into other cultures and what's important. And Hannah, here's her article on a summer in Southeast Asia. Would you like to read it, Hannah?
Okay. For many, summer vacation consists of a trip out of town or a few consecutive days spent achieving a luxurious tan, or sunburn as the case may be, on a beach. Maybe you'll enroll in sports, or if you're feeling adventurous, take a drive across the country. For me, summer has always been a continuation of our life on the road. You could say that our entire life is one long vacation. Of course, being on the road can have its moments of being less than enjoyable, but then again, so can staying at home. We spent this summer traveling around Southeast Asia, where we will be staying for an undetermined amount of time. It's a very beautiful part of the world, with lush green rice paddies and miles of jungle-blanketed mountains. Elephants trundle through the hills, now carrying tourists as often as logs. Muddy men behind even muddier water buffalo plow the rice fields. Tentative green sprouts poke out of the water, carefully planted by wrinkled old grandmothers in pointed sun hats. Tall temples stand proudly in the forest, shining as the sun reflects off of thousands of pieces of colored glass arranged into spectacular mosaics on the walls. It's a land of enchantment.
Can I have goosebumps?
Sorry.
No, it's wonderful. I love that. I love that you are such an amazing and powerful writer that you get across these experiences with just a few words, with just a few lines. And I think that's what Worldschooling is about, that you can grab the essence of a place, don't you?
Oh, hopefully.
Yes. So, slide out of order. So our free ebook will be free on Amazon today through Monday, and you can download it. But let's go. Oh, this is also out of order. I'll go back to that. Oh my. Well, all the slides didn't load. Okay.
We can do a little tap dancing while you load the rest of the slides.
Does that sound good? All right, just 1 second.
I'm so inspired by this presentation and by Lainey's last night.
I'm inspired too, and what I think about Worldschooling is it's such an amazing thing, you know?
I'm so inspired by Moreau. Did I say that?
Miro, it's Miro.
Moreau.
And yeah, they inspired me a lot too, actually.
Hannah, that slide that had the name of the book that's free on Amazon went by pretty fast. Do you mind if we go back to it while Dr. Jessie's playing around?
That one?
Yes.
I don't know if it's loading right, but Hannah, do you have the PowerPoint out? Maybe we could just read from it and tell people. What do you think?
Yeah, let me pull it up. Which slide are you talking about?
On our slides, let's go to...
Because I have 21, which is the one where I was reading my thing, and then there's 22, which is about the book, and after that it finishes up.
Oh my gosh. Well, maybe there were extra. Maybe I was just crazy. I apologize, everyone. I thought we had way more to share. Well, let's go to the question from Lainey. And she says, what I'd love to hear about from Hannah is the way she and her family approaches education while traveling. I know it's more structured than our family, so I'd love to learn more, if you could.
Okay. Well, from my perspective, I mean, I'm a student, right? So we do math from textbooks, and we also do geography. We kind of do geography, but we mostly just wander around. We do writing as a strict schedule. So we do a lot of the main courses as, you know, as most people do them. The only difference is that we're actually also going out and learning about the world around us at the same time. And right now, I'm done with high school, so I'm taking my college courses at the moment online. So does that answer your question? I don't know. You can
Hannah, when
you
you're
can
in a new
contact my
place,
mom
how
if
do you
you'd like
learn
to
about?
talk about how she does it, because she's a teacher.
I think she just wrote an article about it too.
Wait, say it again. Sorry.
I think she just wrote an article about it too.
Yeah, I know.
It's funny. Oh, I'm so glad you downloaded our books.
Yep, she did. Funny coincidence that.
Hannah, how do you think when you come to a new place or you're living in a place, how do you think you live differently than tourists?
Well, for one, we settled down for a few months at a time. So that already sets us apart. And for two, we like to really get involved with the people around us, the locals, like buying from the local markets, maybe even going to the local churches or playing games with the local kids. So that really gives us a real feel of what the culture is in the area. And then also, instead of eating at a lot of the restaurants that tourists eat at, we are eating, you know, from the street vendors and talking to people, and that sort of thing. So it really gets us more connected than if we had just been passing by for a few days.
I love that. And somebody has a question that says, Hannah, do you find it hard not to be perceived as a normal white tourist, but as someone looking, yeah.
Okay, someone said, do you find it hard not to be perceived as a normal white tourist, but as someone looking for more in-depth experiences? Yes. Well, sometimes, yeah. But if you're in the area for a little while, people start to notice that, hey, you're still there. What in the world? And actually, no. And yeah, and then it doesn't seem so much like you're a tourist as much as a, you know, local person. Local, I don't know how to say that. You're the local white person. You're their white person. It's kind of funny.
Well, I think especially when you show up at the
adopted.
same market every day for groceries or going to the same stores every day, I think that then people can see that you're not the normal tourist, right?
Right. You're an expat at that point, almost.
All right. Here's a question from Lainey. She says, Hannah, I love your article about how world schooling ruined you. Could you share some of the ways you were ruined with us?
Okay, so that article is totally sarcasm, right? Just so everyone's aware. One of the biggest ways that it's ruined me is that I'm such a snob at this point. Because, you know, cheeses, there's no cheese as good as the cheese in Italy. There's no opera house as cool as the Sydney Opera House. The Colosseum was just the Colosseum, right? Can't be covered. It's made me a complete snob in so many ways. So I guess that's a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. Yeah, and something that a lot of girls especially seemed to think was really funny was that I only have one pair of shoes. Everyone freaked out about that. What? You only have one pair of shoes? Oh my gosh! You're so horrible. That's awful. Poor dear.
But I think you'd rather have experiences, right, than shoes?
Exactly, right. So I thought that was kind of funny.
I love that.
Good trick. Yeah.
Well, does anybody have any more
honestly.
Go ahead, Hannah.
All right, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. honestly, travel has definitely not ruined me. It's done so much for me that I probably couldn't even list all the things because Mom says I'm probably not aware of all of them yet. But yeah, it has far from ruined me.
And for your whole family too, right?
Yeah, that's definitely true.
How do you think this will affect you long term?
I'm not sure. I mean, I guess we'll have to see when we get there, right? But I know I'll never look at the world the same as I did when I was, before we started traveling. And that's probably going to affect me somehow.
I think that's true. I also think that long-term travelers, sometimes their kids have a lifetime of itchy feet and lots of traveling, and sometimes their kids just want to stay put in one place.
Yeah, I've met both kinds of people.
Yes. Maybe they think once they've seen it all, they need to look inward. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
So if anybody has any more questions, type them in. But, Miro wants to know if Hannah...
Definitely, yes, Miro.
Third culture kid.
Yes, definitely.
You guys, I'm working on an article right now about an artist named Elizabeth Lang, and she has a play about third culture kids and what it's like to actually be in the world as a third culture kid and growing up and feeling displaced maybe from one.
Yeah, that's kind of hard sometimes because you feel like you're a part of the entire world, but you don't really belong anywhere in particular. Which, I mean, you get used to it. It's fine. It's not a bad thing. It's just different.
Yes. And to world schooling, you don't have to do the extreme world schooling that your family's doing or
no,
doing.
Definitely not.
It can be done from home to start out with and then traveling. So if somebody is intimidated by completely changing their life and completely traveling the world for years, it doesn't have to be on that grand of a scale.
Well, we didn't start out just like that. We started out with little trips to, Nova Scotia or down into Mexico for just like a couple weeks to a month at a time.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't just, pack it all up and go after having never traveled ever. That would be a little crazy.
I think, though, that it's addictive, right? Once you travel, you want to keep traveling and you want to keep learning about different places in the world.
It's so addictive, yeah.
I know, and all that food that there is to explore. Well, I think we can wrap it up. I'll say a closing statement, and then Hannah can say a closing statement. And if you guys have any questions, you can reach me at Jessie@wanderingeducators.com and head to Hannah's website, which is adventuregirl.com, or hop on our LinkedIn profile. What I want to suggest is that if you're open and curious about the world and know that there's so much that we can learn from others, that world schooling is pretty easy to follow along on those. Just let your curiosity lead the way. Whether you can travel greatly or travel in small ways, there's so many different ways to learn that world schooling really isn't an option. It's, in my opinion, the only way to be in the world.
And I'd like to say that you can do it with teens. Like some people seem to think that you should only really do it with small children. But I think teens especially would really, really appreciate if their parents would take them out and let them see the world and travel and, live differently than a lot of other people get to live.
I agree with it, Hannah. I love that. And we will put our slideshow up so you can follow those links, all those inspirational articles. But thank you, everybody, for coming today to our talk on world schooling and for being patient with my mix-up on the slides. And contact us, and we'd love to hear your success stories or your ventures into world schooling. Thanks so much.